Hi, thanks for dropping in. This time, how to avoid the audio processing that goes on inside a GoPro. Most people before the GoPro Hero 8 would have bought the little sound box, the little adapter that goes on in order to plug it into your GoPro and get better audio. The only thing is that by doing that, what you're doing is you're pushing your audio into a compressor and a limiter, and also it has auto gain. So if you want really good audio, it would be nice to be able to avoid having that done inside the camera. Inside the microphone settings, you'll see standard mic and standard mic plus. Now those two settings give power to the microphone, but the plus gives also quite a lot of boost to the gain. Under those two settings, you'll see powered mic and powered mic plus. This is where you have a microphone that's got a battery or something and it powers itself, and you don't need power to be sent to the microphone. So that turns the power off going to the microphone, and again the plus just adds a little bit more boost to the gain. Then there's the last one, which is rarely mentioned, and that's the line in, and that's the one you want to select because it avoids the compression, the limiting, and the auto gain that goes on inside the GoPro. So with the first four options, you get audio processing going on. With the line in, you don't. In order to use the line in mode, what you need to do is you need to connect a microphone that has a lot of gain, because the line in mode is quite insensitive. The Rode VideomicPro Plus is fantastic because it's got plus 20 dB. The microphone also has to have its own power because line in doesn't supply any power to your microphone. The other thing that you need to remember as well is you need to switch the microphone on, because auto on-off power won't happen with these microphones because the line in doesn't supply the current that it's needed to recognise the fact that your camera's come on. Normally when I'm using the GoPro and a microphone on top, what I do is I go into the mic input, which supplies power to power up the mic. So what I'm doing is using the Rode VideomicPro Plus, and I've got it on plus 20 dB, and this time it's going into the line in on the GoPro. Now by doing that, I'm avoiding all the processing that the GoPro does to your audio. It results in a lower volume, but in post you can boost that very easily. So that means on the GoPro, if you get a sudden noise or the wind buffets your microphone, something like that, the auto gain on the GoPro isn't going to come slamming in and pull your audio down. Just to demonstrate what this can do for you if you've got sudden sounds, is I'm going to go from one extreme to the other. So at the moment I'm whispering and it's a really quiet sound. In the background I've got birds going and there is actually an airplane. But if I bring the microphone a little bit closer and I make the noise a lot louder, hopefully the auto gain hasn't come into play, so therefore your audio is more consistent at the two extremes. That means actually in reality when you get home you're free to set up your compression and set the compression amount that you actually want, and not rely on the GoPro's rather clumsy compression system sometimes, and it's very clumsy sometimes, auto gain. So just to test the microphone at close quarters, I've now got the mic quite close to me. In fact, it's about 9 inches from my mouth, and at this close distance it's going to be perfectly loud enough to be usable on the line in. But the thing is, we're talking about the extremes of audio. So I'm now going to raise my voice and then I'm going to whisper. So you'll hear that the audio levels don't move around as they would do when you're using that mic gain, the auto mic gain on the GoPro. So I'm now going to speak very loudly. So this is me shouting behind the microphone. I'm really shouting quite loud, so anyone around me is going to think I'm mental. So now I'm going to speak at a soft voice so you can hear that the GoPro isn't doing anything to that audio and the background remains stable and doesn't go up or down. The main thing is using the line in might make you think, well, maybe the audio is just going to be too low for those distance shots, because if it's too low to boost it's going to go all hissy and nasty. Fact is, the auto gain doesn't raise the surrounding noise about you, so if you keep quiet and just let the auto gain do its business, of course it's not switched in, but have a listen. Now I'm down here by a stream, so it would have perhaps latched onto the noise of the stream, but it hasn't raised the gain in order to make the audio louder. So with the auto gain missing, you've got much more control later in post-processing to get that audio sounding a bit nicer, and you've got more control about how much gain you have and how much up and down, how much dynamic range you have. And if you can control that in post, you've got much more control over all of your audio on the GoPro. Did you notice how the auto gain didn't kick in when I was filming that water? That's the secret. Use the line in. I'll have to keep saying this though. Do not forget to turn the microphone on. It won't come on auto on its own. There's a nifty bit of wind. Hopefully that's not buffeting the auto gain and you're getting me nice and clear. See, it does make a difference. Now I'm not going to tamper with the audio here, I'm just going to film what I see. If you listen, this is a very quiet scene. There's a bullfinch down there whistling as well, which is quite nice, and there goes a pheasant, or as we call it, a peasant. And in actual fact, you'll find the audio remains stable and the gain of the GoPro does not bring this very quiet sound up. So you have a listen, just see what you get. Got a double whammy here, car coming by, wind going, so let's see if it manages. He's going nice and slow, so it's not too loud, but we have both the wind and the noise of the car, but my voice hopefully has remained consistent. So I know that the GoPro has its own little foibles with the picture, the quality of the colour, and sometimes even locking itself up. But the best thing about the GoPro, I think, is its audio. It's got this method of bypassing the automatic processing, which enables you to get really stunning results from such a tiny camera. This is the kind of noise level that you would get indoors. I'm not speaking particularly loud, but what you will notice is that the hiss level or the background level doesn't come up when I stop speaking. Now, if you go in via the auto gain, what will happen is the GoPro will automatically turn the volume up, presuming that the silence is the main focus of the sound, and that can ruin your audio. But using the line in does keep it really consistent, and you get lower noise levels that don't intrude so much. And you can always fix it in post as well. You can up it, then you can adjust the compression and the limiting yourself, depending on what you've recorded. Once you've recorded your audio, you need to boost it in post. So you have to be prepared to go in post, look at the audio and then boost it to a nice signal level. The idea of using the line in is to avoid all the internal processing that goes on with the audio inside the GoPro. And that will enable you to record things in quiet environments without the sound pumping up and down with the volume. And also it'll lower the hiss levels. So when you get sudden noises in the audio, like a sudden bang or something, or someone laughs, the audio doesn't suddenly get pushed down by the GoPro because the line-in is doing nothing to the incoming signal. With the line-in, there's plenty of headroom, so it's going to be difficult to make it peak anyway. Now, before I go, I need to tell you this is not my idea. This is an idea that was given to me by a guy called David Harry. He's a YouTube friend of mine. We often talk together about all kinds of things, microphones and camera related. And he suggested using the line-in to me, which has proved to be a real bonus with the GoPro. It really does improve things. So it's thanks to David Harry, and I suggest you visit his channel because he's got some real eye-openers over there if you want to have a look. Thanks for dropping into this video. I hope to see you next time. Even better if you subscribe.